All right, all right, all right. We're back. It's been a while, but we're back. We're always going to be back. And just want to explore some more things with you. Maybe even go super crazy because today is something a little bit different. We have a couple of topics, and these topics just, there is no dialogue to it. It's just explore it and just see what happens and see where we go, and that's what we want to do today. And with since the last time we made a video and now back on it today, uh hitting you with something like this, and then us just kind of getting rebooted on this stuff. Not like we haven't been practicing or anything like that, but just having these conversations, especially on the YouTube. I think this is, me and Matt thought this would be something great to dive into. And again, it's just maybe even things that we're even thinking about, just kind of just maybe an individual thought. Maybe it's been written, maybe it's been said, but I don't know. Just when you're in that silent mode and you're there, but you're pondering, from the being to the mind. You're using it in the right way, and man, the roads you can go down and explore and all kinds of crazy things, and these are kind of what conjured up these things. Was kind of being in that type of state, and this is where these topics came from. So with that, Matt, I'm gonna throw it over to you. How you been doing, my brother, and what's going on?
Yeah, man, I've been doing great. Just working, hanging out with the family, living life. I've been working out a little bit, as you know. We worked out at the gym one time together, and yeah, I mean, it's been good. I feel great. Mind, body, soul, your spirit, whatever you want to call it, like it's all around, all good. Um, and yeah, I've still been meditating every day and reading a bunch of books like I always do. I mean, I know we haven't been on since, gosh, I think April was like the last time we were on.
Dang, was it April?
Yeah, so it's been like a good 3, almost 4 months, I think.
Jeez, yeah.
But I mean, we have families, we have
Oh,
children
yeah.
that are younger, and so it's just so easy to get caught up in that. And well, and it genuinely is hard to find time, to like break away. Um, Even when you do plan it out, it doesn't always happen. So
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
glad we're back now, and we're doing this again. And like Josh said, even if it is spread out sometimes, we're gonna find a way to come back and make these videos. So,
For sure.
stay tuned because we're coming out with new stuff all the time. Well, maybe not all the time, but you get it. It'll
Yeah.
still be going. It'll still be going. We're still going
Yeah.
with it. So, um, with that said, well, let me ask you, how have you been?
Yeah, same here, man. Just good, just grinding, work, summer, brutal, heat is here. But
Right.
we got about 2 more months. But I'll tell you this, big fan of Halloween. It's August 1st today. So that's when I officially start Halloween. So I'm excited.
Yeah,
Yeah,
there we
yeah,
go.
yeah. I'm already hitting up stores and seeing what they got, because right now you can go over there and get some stuff like half off, 75% off before they put the new stuff out. So I'm already about to get decked out, you know. Yeah, we're those people. So
I love it.
yeah. So but anyways, no, everything's been good, and yeah, same thing. I mean, just been complete, you know, haven't had any well, I don't say foul ups, but like trip ups of anything with the mind and everything. I've just been super rooted and uh yeah, I would even tell you this. Sometimes if I feel like my mind just like not in an anxiety state, But something that could throw me into an anxiety state before would have been like sometimes like I can be in a room or I'll be talking to someone and then my mind kind of just I don't know, it's a weird, I wouldn't say out of body experience, but it's almost like some type of weird detachment that happens
Mm.
for a couple
Okay.
of seconds. And that's something like that could have like really thrown me for a loop for weeks on the wayward path. But now, because I'm so well, I'm feeling like just super rooted. Like I'll be like, oh, cool. Like, and I'll just kind of like fall back in it. You know what I mean? It's just like,
Yeah.
and just I'm not afraid of it. It's just like let's just explore it. And most of the times I'll fall into it and then it just goes away. But sometimes I'll fall into it and then kind of like, whoa, like kind of feel high for like a couple seconds and then I snap out of it. I don't know. But
I
again,
know what
it's
you're
just
talking about. Yeah.
yeah. And so at times when it happens, I'm just like, okay, see where this takes me. 'Cause I'm like, it ain't gonna kill me, and why not? So anyways, that's how rooted I've been. I just if something did like weird happen, I just kind of fall into it. But
That's what's up, man. That's awesome.
yeah, just kind of a no fear type of thing. So
Right.
but yeah, so I've been doing good, man. I've been doing good. Knock on wood.
Right. I got some right
But
here. There we go.
yeah, no, all good, all good. Um, well, I know you got some things that you got jotted down, might read from.
Mhm.
Um, Getting off the dome, I had something that I wanted to bring up, just some things that was pondering in my head, but I didn't know. Do you want me to start, or you want to throw it over to you?
Yeah. Go ahead and start with what you kind of were thinking about, and
Okay.
then I'll read something that I have here that I think will relate to that and probably kick off, another crazy conversation.
Okay. All right, all right. Well, so I was the past couple of weeks, I would get it usually after I get out of the gym. It's usually late. It's about 10 o'clock. I'll go between like 9 and 10 in the evening. It's just when I find the time to go. And usually after the gym, you kind of worked out and everything. And yeah, sometimes I'll be sitting in the truck, as I'm driving home, and the wind kind of just, I got the windows down and maybe got the music on, and I'm just kind of I'm just, I'm just right, just feel good. And I'll get back home, and often like I'll kind of just sit in the driveway and just kind of stare out into oblivion. And what I'll do is I feel like I'm kind of in some type of meditative state as I'm kind of driving home. I just feel good, and then I'm trying to control my mind to where I'm not thinking about anything. And I'm just getting there, and I get back, sit in the driveway, and I just kind of just sit there because I just feel just super content. And and when I'm like that, sometimes maybe questions that I've had in my mind, I'll hold them if they're very interesting until I get to a state like that, and then I'll bring it up to myself and just ponder on it in that type of state. And so this one particular one, I was there and I was thinking, the whole existence thing, like why are we here? And I was trying to dive way down into that, and just see how far I could go. If I could start connecting a dot like that's obvious, and then see if I could find another close dot, and just see if I could kind of tether together some dots and see how far back I could go. Now, again, it starts to get very hard very quick. But anyways, so their existence. And then I started to think, okay, so here I am, the being, and I feel here to conquer the mind, get back to the one, to silence, and then from there, I can explore more and maybe get more answers, or start to find the path to where I'm supposed to be in this life, or whatever I'm supposed to achieve here, to not being reincarnated, or whatever the case may be. Just to how far I could go in this life, to being, how conscious can I get, right? Um, you know, is that okay? Right now, I feel like that's my purpose. That's why I'm here. And then, I'm on this life journey also at the same time. Um, then I was like, okay, well, we start with a being. The being's there, and then if everybody goes back, all the people and beings and the universe all goes back to the singularity, to where the being is whole again. Okay, there it is. We all are all right there at one point in time, or not even time, just there. I would assume it's content. And when I say it, the being, or whatever the case, whatever it is at that point in time, it's content. It's silent. It's so silent, like it's not even there. It's not even in existence, or it is in existence. Whatever. Why did it then choose? Or I'm using the word choose, but if if the singularity of whatever it is was content and is whole and silent and everything, why did it then disperse into all of this, to you and me and the people who we're talking to, and into emotions and this roller coaster of human, and then society and chaos? And that's just this world. I mean, what about all the other worlds and universes, and if there's multiverses and all kinds of stuff? Why would it choose to then do that, only for us to like try to get back to the singularity? And when I say us, I mean it, right? It it is us. So then I started to think like, okay, and this, I didn't want to think this, but again, it's just, you're just thinking thoughts of like, okay, is the being, or that entity, whatever we are part of, the as a whole, when it if it chose to do that, like, was it itself, was it bored? Did it need a playground all of a sudden, like how we do? And then how we do it ourselves, we're part of it. Is that what it did to itself, and we're just that of what it's thinking? It's just exploring all these just infinite avenues. So then I started to think like, well, like crap, like if it did that, then is it what we're a part of? Is it fouled up? So then the foundation of all of us is, you know, uh, it's not.
It's like imperfect, I guess.
Yeah, it's imperfect. It's not perfect anymore. So, like, if we got back to the singularity, we would then find that it's imperfect, and it's going through the same problems that we are. Or I found my way all the way back to it, to the singularity, or where it all came from, right? Just a glimpse of it, just saying if I did. And then just to find that, like, oh, nobody else is here because, it's its soul, it's whatever, is just dispersed in infinite pieces because uh I don't know, maybe it let its mind get the best of it, and it's just on this infinite playground now. and we're all doomed, But
Right?
but anyway, so that was one, and I was really going like, and when I say hard into it, like really trying to be silent and really hone in on certain aspects of that question, because it's really hard to do and try to be silent and just like focus super hard on a certain thought and explore it deep, without the mind like trying to take you off of it. Um, so, anyways, I was getting there, and then I would tell you this: I was so hard in it. I think my head started to hurt a little bit because I was, and maybe it's because I was like, doing this, like not knowing, like, like, and my head started to hurt, and I was like, okay, maybe I'm done tonight. But I hadn't revisited it since then. But it was just something that was one thing that just I thought I'd bring up and talk about.
Yeah, I mean, that's a very interesting topic, and it's a valid question because, you know, it's like if we're trying to get back to what we've always been, if we're making the assumption that that is like a true statement, that we are trying to return to the source, right? Meaning there was a time, and we were obviously talking about time because we're human beings and we operate within the dimension of time, but to that being that you're referring to, the source or the singularity, like you had alluded to earlier, they wouldn't have a concept of time. And I even say they, it's not even really a they, right? It's so human concepts are limited in explaining all of that, but let's just roll with the thought experiment anyway and say if it was content and it was at peace and everything was fine, um, and that's us in this very broken realm. We're trying to get back to that, right? But then the question is like, well, then why did it ever like break up and disperse, like you were saying, and like I guess get rid of that piece in the first place, right? Like, what's the point of doing that? And obviously, I don't know the answer, but
Dang it!
right. Let me tell you why. No.
Yeah,
Wouldn't that be awesome? Everyone's like,
yeah,
"Whoa, all
that'd be
right,
awesome. I was like, oh,
dude, you got to
okay.
subscribe to this now." It did remind me though of a post that I read on a subreddit. It is the Enlightenment subreddit. Some of you who watch this channel might be on that subreddit. Um, One of you may have even written the post that I'm about to read. Um, so if you're out there, yeah, you know who you are, and this is interesting stuff. But somebody wrote a post on there, and it was along the same lines of what you're talking about. And it really got me thinking, kind of like how you were thinking in the truck there, um, about like, man, kind of like you had said it on one of our previous videos where you were like, do you ever get into a space sometimes where you just want to like, you start thinking about all this stuff and you're just like, is this some sick experiment or something? Like,
Yeah,
like
yeah,
you're like,
yeah.
wait a minute, wait, what is this, man? Like, anyway, so I mean, it has the ability to make you kind of go a little bit crazy with it. Yeah, I mean, if you let yourself go, which we don't, right? You like you said earlier, we're very rooted right now, which I'm thankful for that. But anyway, what you were saying reminded me of this post, and I just have to read it now because it'll blow your mind. I just really think it will. So, without further ado, let's dive into this because it's exactly what you're talking about. Now, The person who posted this used the word God for that source or that singularity being. So I know there's a lot of names for it. You could call it whatever you want. We're not saying one name is more right than the other, but I'm just saying that to preface that that's the term that this person wanted to use for that being. So, first of all, let me take a drink here.
No, it's that good. All right.
It's good, man. You got to wet the whistle
Yeah,
for this one.
yeah.
First of all, the title of the post is God is lonely, scared, hungry, cold, sad, mad, insane, and surrounded by the void. Its existence is absurd, and it doesn't know how it came to exist. The solution, this is what God thinks the solution is for this state it has found itself in. The solution is duality. And obviously duality would be the dispersing into more than one, right?
Yeah.
So here's where he goes on with the post. That was all just the title. Here's where he
Oh,
goes on with the post.
yeah. Okay.
All right, so really just this is like a story I'm going to tell right now, and just like picture that you are that God being, right? And like you're going through all of this, okay? God woke from nothingness, surrounded by a void. The very moment it realized it existed was the moment it went insane. Imagine waking up in a coffin and all you see is darkness. You would thrash and freak out and start to panic. God saw a way out of that after realizing it could compartmentalize itself. God was all potentialities, and through compartmentalizing itself, it started to actualize those potentialities into reality. All of a sudden, it had feet to stand on, ground and sky to give it orientation, food and sex to satiate its desires. Most importantly, it created the other, someone to hug, someone to console, someone to love. God was no longer lonely. It so loved that experience and was so afraid of the void that it created an eternity of reincarnations it could forever lose itself in. Enter samsara. If you're familiar with Eastern philosophy, you know about samsara, the cycle of birth and redeath, or death and rebirth. The purpose of samsara is to attain cosmic sanity. It's the means to sanity. End result of samsara is to gain sentience. God wants to be fully alive, fully awake, fully lucid. It wants the concrete. It wants things to have some permanence so that it may find respite from the insanity of disembodiment. Duality is a short-lived drug, and God is eternally hooked. It's a duality junkie. God is like a child on a roller coaster who is ready to run back through the line again to get back on over and over until it gets bored. Your boredom is God's boredom. The solution to that boredom is yet another fresh incarnation to experience it all anew. With the infinite combinations of potential realities, we never have to experience the same life twice. It's an eternal novelty. There is a deep-seated motivation to keep reincarnating into sentient beings so it can taste the fullness of the food, so it can appreciate the fullness of a hug, and so it can experience the fullness of the thrills.
Well, yeah. It's gonna take me about 3 weeks to get through all that you just read. Man, I mean,
Yeah,
yeah,
that's
you
wild,
had
huh?
me. Yeah, yeah, yeah. You had me at. Well, you had me at the title. Um, man. Wow, that's a very interesting thought. I mean, that wouldn't just thought that like they've been pondering on that for a while. I'm sure to get all that down. But actually, I think probably when they were thinking it, they had it, and then all of a sudden, um, once they started that ball rolling, I, I think it probably they found some type of answer and then just kept going. Um,
Right.
so yeah, that man, that's really good. Um,
Yeah, I mean it's really trippy. But
well, yeah,
I guess I could understand, you know, all of that. But one thing that someone did say, I guess that was interesting is like a reply to that was like they said you're assuming that God has the same human feelings that we have, which I guess they wouldn't. Um, but but then again, you could kind of think about it in another way, which is if we're all a part of God, right, then we would have to have some sort of semblance to that being. Um, so in a sense, there's got to be some sort of similarity there, right? So I mean, I could see how if we just were to go along again with the thought experiment, um, how if you were that being, right, and you're okay, so that's the assumption I think that we're making that may not be true, is and that they're saying is different, which is we're assuming that this being, right, was at peace and was content in the very beginning. And so it's like, well, then why would you make duality, right? Like, why would you make the other? Why would you make all these other experiences? Why would you incarnate into a human form? That doesn't make sense. But if we assume that that being was not at peace, and kind of like what you were saying, either it was bored or the moment it woke up and realized what it was, it it just like went insane, right? Of like, the moment it awakened to itself and like was conscious and aware of itself, then it was like, wait, what is this? Like, I'm alone in a void and there's nothing. Um, but I have the power to create anything, right? I can just think it up and it'll become a reality. So why not? Like, we're here forever, right? So why not
yeah,
just create infinite playgrounds and have all these different experiences of all these different beings across, if we want to use Buddhist cosmology, 31 different planes of existence. Why not just go through everything and then, go through the birth and the uh, suffering, but then also the love and the taste of really good food, but then also the feeling of pain, and then you know all of these things, right? And then go through the process of dying and losing, and then reincarnate, like go back on the roller coaster and do it all again, but it'll be a completely brand new roller coaster. And so you can experience a brand new life, brand new people. You could even go to a different world. I mean, whatever, right? it's almost like a cosmic video game that never ends. You can just play in your fantasy land for however long you want. So, I mean, in a sense, that kind of does make sense to me, right?
Yeah.
Because you could be like, hey, I mean, if we're gonna be here, we might as well let's live it up, you know?
Yeah.
But then, and then I'll shut up after this, but then what if we are, you know, this being and now we have lived so many of these lives that we have created, so many of these playgrounds that we've made. And now what if we're starting to wake up to the fact that all of this stuff we've created isn't really fulfilling us like we thought it would. And that actually we didn't know it, but the state that we were in the beginning was actually the best possible state we could have been in. And now we've got a bit of a problem because we're trying to find our way back to that state, but we've created so many playgrounds, for lack of a better term, that it's going to be really hard to let go of all of that and get rid of all of that and go back to that original state. Because I mean, you could just look at our world and look around, like it's like a snowball effect, you know, like one thing happens and that sparks off 10,000 reactions, and then those spark off another 10,000 reactions, and you look into the galaxy and there's just stars. I mean, it's infinite, right? So like, I guess what I'm getting at is like, maybe the being is starting to wake up, and maybe we're a part of that journey. And maybe we're realizing we made a mistake and that we should have just stayed where we were in the beginning. And that actually, if we had really sat with that state for long enough, we might have been content. But because we didn't, I guess, give it its due course or whatever, we just went crazy and decided to create all this. But now, like I said, the problem is you can't just go back, right? You gotta really work hard. And this is like the whole journey of enlightenment and all that to get back to that state. And then the other thing is, and this is kind of where the whole bodhisattva ideal comes in, from Mahayana Buddhism. Um, you're not the only one that has to wake up. All the other beings have to wake up to that too.
Mm. Yeah.
So it's really hard to get back. So, I mean, that's just one theory, but I could see that being a
Yeah.
possibility.
No, for sure. Um, yeah, I was trying to, I'm following you and then also trying to think of some other things. And I found it was a really good analogy of him to put in there, or he or she, whoever wrote it, of like God being in a coffin and it's just nothing but darkness. And then he freaks out, or God freaks out. Um, and then starts to conjure up these thoughts. I mean, and I could see where that could be, and I could understand in a certain sense of that, because you go. I mean, as a human, definitely you could easily go crazy in a situation like that, and and we see people, like that through our life, of people that can be different people. They have different personalities in them. That thing. It could be. They really think that they're four different people. At any moment in time, and you know, again, yeah. With that being said, it's just like, well, if that again playing that was true, uh then saying, and then getting back to what you just said, where everybody's going to have to wake up. Um, yeah, it would be a very, very difficult thing to do. But I would say, just like how it is to us, however long it took us to get to this point of insanity, it's going to take that much time to get back to being sane. Uh, thinking like, okay, if the world or if the universe or whatever is 13, 14 billion years old, if we were to stop it now, it would probably take 13 or 14 billion years to get back to suck it all back up into sanity. It would take it that long. um
Yeah.
but or and again, we're putting it to our human ways of thinking, trying to make sense of it. um
Yeah, because there is, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off,
no, no, you're good,
but
you're good.
there is a sense of, because we are putting it in our human, you know, concepts, right? And time is one of those. And so what if, you know, there is in some fashion, there is this idea of, it took billions of years to get here, it'll take billions to get back. But then what if one could awaken, right, to all of this, and to a point where, time no longer is a factor, like you've transcended that dimension, if you will, to where you're automatically back. You know what I mean? To where, like, it may have taken, like, on some level, it may have taken billions of years for, like, the universe to get back to the singularity, but you're able to awaken to a dimension beyond time to where that billions of years actually feels like a split second. I
Yeah.
don't know.
No, no,
Like,
I,
you
I
know what I mean?
I get you. Yeah, well, yeah, totally. That's you could call eternity, that's again, saying eternity is, to me, it's a way that we think of, again, just forever. But again, we're thinking of it in time, and eternity doesn't have to be that, like you just said. And I 100% agree that, yeah, without time, you know a trillion years could just be right now, right? uh there is no, uh actually, it all could be happening at the same time, right?
Yeah.
And then that goes into a whole other thing. But like, um,
Right.
um, so yeah, I mean, yeah. So say like a part of the being, awakens, goes back, like you said, and then is is there. Here's what I was going to get to. You're there, and then you wake back up into the coffin, and then you freak out and do the whole thing over again. Um, but
Now you're on to something. Hold
yeah,
your thought real quick, and I won't take long, but
okay,
because within the Hindu cosmology, there is the concept of the universe coming into existence, and then it remains for a while, and then it gets destroyed, and then it comes back into existence again, and then remains for a while, and then destroyed again, and it's like a cycle, right?
mm,
So, you know, in a way that could be possible where, like, all of this happens, you make it all the way back to source, and then you freak out again, and then and it just continues.
no,
What
for
are we
sure. I mean,
doing?
I could, yeah, whoa. Like you're there at the singularity of, let's just say, I don't know why I keep thinking of it, again, the singularity and then like the Big Bang, right? The explosion or
Hmm.
whatever. If you're thinking in that type of way, if you're there now, I go all the way back to the beginning, but I'm still waiting for everything else to come back. And like you're at the explosion. So, I mean, you're literally watching the universe just go further and further away from you. Like all the stars are just getting bleaker and bleaker. And you're like, oh, you know, uh, is the ignorant, if ignorance was bliss at that moment in time. Because, okay, while you were talking earlier, I have you ever got, I'm sure you probably have, and I'm sure people have done this, where you get to a point of you're like holy s, like why are we here? Like this isn't making any sense, and you start going down that path, like it can kind of scare you, right? It just doesn't make no sense at all, none whatsoever. So I actually fell back into that, and I was like, I started to think this. I don't know, like I was watching you, and then for some reason, like I started to see space a little bit as I'm watching you. And then I'm like, in like, do I really want to know the answer? Like, if because if all of a sudden we trip up on the answer, like, are we then going to fall into some realm that would scare the ever living s out of us? You know what I mean? And you ain't getting back here ever again. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Become too enlightened or whatever. You stumbled upon something that, I don't know, either you were or you weren't supposed to stumble on, but you can't be here now. Uh, so I was thinking that, and I was like, okay, maybe I should like back off of that thought. You know, I don't know if I'm ready to make the leap, man. Um,
Right. It's like that secret knowledge, where you're like, you weren't supposed to open this door, but now
yeah.
that you have, you're kind of
Now that you
screwed.
have, you're gonna have to come on in here because we can't let you go back out there and tell everybody. You know,
Right.
yeah, you
You're like,
know.
you're trying to back out. Like, whoa, whoa, can I do? No,
Yeah,
no,
whoa,
no,
whoa, whoa,
shut
no,
the
man,
door.
no, no, yeah, and then you come back all like lobotomized, and you're like, aliens abducted me, and they're like, yeah, whatever, dude, you know, and it's
Right.
just like totally like just
And then the world just writes you off at that
yeah,
point,
it just writes you off after that, yeah. Um, but man, it's something that I continue to ponder on, and I think if again, if you were to sit there, well, it has been explored because these books have been written, and it's one thing that I was kind of, maybe for, next videos or something like that, of like really diving into, when I say religion, like using it, because there is, this, I think, this underlying knowledge of what, you know a human mind got a hold of. I don't, where all these stories came from and all this stuff. And of course, they've put their own twists on this, but kind of like diving in, going back to the beginning, to the books and stuff like that. And then uh, trying to connect the dots that way, but like, you know, a lot of times I feel like in religion, you're going to have to wipe out like 80% of it. You know what I mean? 80% of it's, I feel like the mind is all in that. So, um, uh, if you, yeah, just trying to go back in there and then trying to connect the dots like that. So again, like the stories of, we could go back, and again, I'll just say, the Bible, because that I know that one the most, out of all of them. You know, going back to the story of how God created everything, you know, and really just diving into that in a state that we can get into, and seeing, is there any like some, is there a real message here, you know, and can we get through all the weeds to find the message, and then once we find, if there is a message in it, a true message, then being in the state that we are in, it should then, illuminate to us, like, oh, that's what that means, kind of like when we were going back and forth, like, oh, like Jesus' saints and stuff, we could do that, but what if there are some merit to some of these stories, again, just not to say there are, but what if there was, what I mean, and then trying to
Yeah.
like connect the dots that way, but then also still having these thoughts that we have and the questions that we have and how we explore those, and obviously with you and the books and stuff that you read, and trying to put it all together, but in a conscious state, you know
Right.
and then seeing how far we could go, trying to figure things out. So, but
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, that's,
It'd be fun.
yeah, that would be
Sure.
super fun. Yeah. So, but yeah, no, that path, that's I'm gonna have you, I'm gonna want you to send that one to me, because yeah, that one's really, really good. I like that one a lot.
Yeah. Yeah. I was like just in my kitchen one day getting lunch, and I pulled it up, like while something was heating up, and then I was like, because I was kind of like scrolling through stuff, and then I saw that, and then I was like, wait a minute. And then I had to like sit down and like read it for a minute. And I
Yeah.
was like, yo, dude, this is crazy. But I could see it, like, um, so yeah, it's interesting. Now, I will say one thing. Um, I personally have always loved diving into these types of topics because it's just interesting to me, and like, yeah, I do think you can come across some answers, Obviously, we're not going to have all of them, who knows? Maybe we could be the first ones to discover it all. I'm just kidding. But, um, but, you know, um, it's interesting stuff. And I think there are like some things you can find kind of going through these exercises. But I will say this too. This is kind of like the flip side of it. Having read recently some more sayings of the Buddha, I know that he actually said that it's not, I guess, skillful really to think about metaphysical things too often because it doesn't really, one, we're never really going to know, and two, it doesn't bring an end to suffering, and that's like really what his whole message was about, was like the ending of craving, the ending of suffering. And so there's this one sutta where someone asks him about all these different metaphysical questions, and he says like he could answer some of them, but he's like, but it wouldn't even matter really. Like it's not conducive to like the message that I'm trying to bring, which is again like the ending of suffering. So he was like basically saying there's no point in even thinking about this at all, right? Which I thought was interesting. I didn't even know he said that until I read that recently. And it reminded me of this one Buddhist monk who, it was actually a Zen master, but someone asked him, the oh, it was Suzuki Roshi is the guy. So he's a famous, well, he was, right, a famous Zen master, and he's got some good books and stuff. But someone came to his, I don't know if they were at his monastery or where they were, but someone was there while he was giving a speech, and it was time for like questions and answers at the end. And so this one person asked him the old philosophical question, and let me see if I can get it right, but it's like, if a tree falls in the forest and there's no one there to hear it, does it make a sound? And so, this has been like a philosophical kind of riddle, if you will, that people have tried to figure out for the longest time, right? And it's like, okay, does it make a sound if no one is there to hear it, right? Or does it only make a sound because obviously we have ears to hear that, right? So it's something you could sit there and wrestle with for a long time. And so he thought it would be a good idea to ask Suzuki Roshi about this because, hey, he's a Zen master. He knows a lot of stuff. He's, may quote unquote be enlightened. So he should be able to give me the answer, right? And the answer he gave was, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
And I thought that was so cool though, because I was like, wow, okay. Because that actually is freeing, like if you can get to a point where, you know, maybe you don't need all the answers. And maybe
Mhm.
you're content with just not knowing all of those things. Now, it still doesn't take away from the fact that it's really freaking fun to talk about. And like I said earlier, I think there are some things you actually can stumble upon by, looking into these things. I mean, I think we already have just by some of the talks we've had. Um, but I do also respect the idea of just experiencing life, um, and not thinking about it too much as well, right? And just, you're more, I guess, living from the heart, right, rather than like the head. Um, but anyway, I just thought I should throw that out there because it's an interesting like dichotomy, of like, you could think about these things and we could go on forever about them. And I think they are interesting topics. And I think, I mean, it'd be fun to talk about and explore it more. Um, but then there's the other side where like there's nothing to say, right? And like we could shut down this whole thing and never make a video again and go off into the woods and be a hermit and like probably be more enlightened than anybody else on the planet. So
Yeah.
I don't know, it's interesting to think about.
Yeah, you said something interesting. Yeah, with that philosophical question, and then if I'm sitting there and I brought up a question to myself, like in the truck, right, and it doesn't like I think you said it. I don't think it needs to be explored. Now that you say that, you know, I feel like the monk says that because it's a playground for the mind, right? That question, and maybe trying to find our existence is just another playground for the mind. And like it's never meant. It wasn't. Yeah, you don't need all the answers. Um, if we get back, I feel what getting back and finding silence and all that is the answer to life's problems. Me personally, I feel like that 100%. It's real. It it works because it is real, and that's, I believe, that is the only true medicine, right? To making, to just being, everything being right. And I think getting back into, like, if God was a child and, he's in that coffin, or God, or he or she, whatever, to then, you know, God having, or that being having some type of conscious thought then after that, or becoming content and saying, hey, you know what? It's okay that I'm here, nothing's wrong. Everything's okay, you know. I'm just here. Uh because getting into the state of fear, there's nothing good of it, right? It complicates everything. Um, but once you become calm, and then you eliminate the thought, right? Because all of a sudden, if that's the case, then the entity has a mind, and then in that, if it did have a mind, would that be the duality there? Because, like, then all of a sudden now there's two entities there.
Mm,
But um,
that's a good point.
yeah, but if it becomes content again, then I guess it just, it disappears. It's there, but it's not there anymore. It's at peace, and there is no more vibrations. It just, I don't know, if it's eliminated after that. Um, and then that, there's another question: is it better for us to be here, or not at all? Right? Because like, if everything's content and everything goes back to singularity, the singularity then evaporates, it goes away, then there's just nothing. And but then, there's nothing to worry about. I mean, you're not in time anymore. You're just, uh then you start getting into that, like, you just are, um or
Right.
not even you, it's just are. Well, yeah, language, you can't even speak of it. um
Right.
yeah, it's but I like that, and I think I'm going to run with that. I'm going to run with, at least tonight, that that's a question for the mind. It doesn't need to be explored. But what I do know is true is this enlightenment journey in this life here.
Right.
That is real. And we've seen it work, and we see how powerful it is. Uh, and I know that to be true. I know that to be a fact. And when I become content and everything's right, I'm not thinking about existence. I'm not thinking about anything. I'm just, I'm not thinking of anything at all. There are no thoughts. Uh, so maybe now, just any type of thought, any type of pondering and anything, with me before thinking like, okay, hey, that's how I'm going to figure it out. I'm going to stumble upon the question and then ponder on it real hard in another state, was just a trick, was a mind trick, uh, from the beginning. It was a way to kind of grab you out of your conscious state. Um, so I don't know, Matt. I'm I'm about 10 ways right now, man. You should have
Right.
never read that thing to me. I'll never be the same.
Oh, yeah,
Um,
exactly. It's like, great.
yeah,
I know
great.
too much.
Yeah, I know too much. No idea with that, you know.
It's like, I always go back to Agent Smith and the Matrix, or not Agent
Yeah.
Smith, I'm sorry,
Neo.
Cypher.
Oh,
Cypher.
Cypher. Oh, yes.
How he wanted
He-
to be put back into the Matrix and forget about the real world. And he's like, I just want to taste this steak again, and like, I
yeah,
want to be able to taste, and like, I want it to taste good, and I want to know that it's not just a computer program, you know?
yeah,
Uh, so anyway, it's kind of funny, but no, I mean, I think that is true. Oh, one thing that you were saying, because you were talking about silence, and I actually think that's really key, really important because, and you talk about that a lot, actually. 'Cause I've heard you say things just about silence in general, and I think it's actually really good because if you think about it this way, if someone were to ask you, or okay, if someone were to ask, I get, and I'm not trying to bash other people, but let's just say like any Joe Schmo off the street, right? If someone were to ask him, what is the meaning of life, or what's the purpose of our existence here, or all of that stuff, um, there may be a ton of different answers that they could come up with. They could say, I don't know, or they could have some religious answer, well, God created the world and now we're this and that, blah, blah, blah. Um, or they could come up with some other crazy thing, or something like what we've talked about tonight. But what if somebody asked you, all right, what is the meaning of life? What's the purpose of all this, blah, blah, blah? And your answer was, the
yeah,
silence, right?
yeah,
You know what I mean? Like, just
yeah,
that's it. There's no more to say other than that. Um,
yeah,
and I think that's beautiful because if you think about it, and I've seen this especially more like within certain religious circles, you ask that question and someone, it's kind of one of those things that people will say, if you can't give me the answer within 5 minutes, then it's not a good answer, you know?
yeah,
And
yeah,
so it's like, all right, well, I got to give you the backstory,
yeah,
to like give you the context of like why all this happened. And then like, then once you understand that part, you can understand like why this part happened. And then at that point, you'll understand like why we're here and like what our purpose is. And then it's like, okay, well, that's going to take like an hour for you to tell me all that. But with silence, not even a single word has to be said. The answer is immediate. The answer is right there, and it's always been there. And there's no time in the answer, right? It's beyond time. It is already right there within you at this very moment. Boom. Like, so I don't know. I think there's something to that.
yeah. It's no, that's interesting. I like that too. Um, yeah, I was I'm again I'm trying to still reel it all back here. But yeah, you the again, back to the answers and all that stuff. Uh, I mean, I want to sit there and ponder on it because, but then, damn it, I'm like, no, that's shit. That that's my mind. My mind wants to do that now. Not the being. Um, so I'm just man, for not saying this is the only time this happened, but I'm kind of I'm in a state right now where I'm just I don't I don't know, I'm kind of perplexed a little bit. Um
No, I feel you, dude. That's kind of the beauty of these conversations, it's so raw,
yeah.
like we're none of this is scripted or rehearsed or anything. We're just like, all right, it's almost like we're sitting here taking a hit of some, psychoactive chemical
Yeah.
and I like that the hit is like me reading that off to you just now, what I read on Reddit, and then you just like coming off of it and being like, what do I do with that? You know?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Going a
And it's
shotgun
all
or
like
something, yeah.
it's all right here live,
Yeah.
raw, all of
Yeah,
that.
you're over there just rolling me over going, "Yeah, man, feel the love, man.
Right.
It's okay." You know. I mean, with that, I mean, okay, if somebody were to say I knew the answer, right, of the existence, let's just say, and then somebody
Mhm.
were to ask me, okay, hey, what's life existence? And then I tell them, um, I think that unconscious mind would, totally write it off, debate it, or I think the answer then, even if they did believe it at a certain point in time, it would be unsatisfying to them. Um, because they're all in their mind. And then, man, think of a wayward mind that knows the answer now and it's going like, now what? I mean, I don't know. Maybe it really trips somebody up after that to where I mean they would just be like just geeked up all the time. I mean, what's the point to even being here now? If you found the answer, it'd be like, well, why am I even here? Like, why even waste time right now?
Yeah.
Uh, um, which I don't know why this popped in my head, but the best bumper sticker I ever saw, and I don't know why this came to my mind now, but it said, save the earth, kill yourself. But uh,
Oh man.
I don't know why that came to mind. Um,
I see it
but
though.
yeah. Um, but yeah, the mind. I don't know. Yeah, then you just have just some just geeked up people, or just mass suicides. I mean, why? Again, I think if you found the answer, you'd just be like, well, this is pointless being here. There's just one little blimp of whatever and amongst this eternity of time. Why even let's just go ahead and end it right now since I already know, right? Like this
Right.
is pointless. Um, so, you know, um, I mean, I don't even know how to, I, a part of me says, all right, hey, let's just go ahead and pass the bong and just get like really loose on it and just go into the mind and
Yeah.
and just like fall back into it and just talk about just all this random things. And then I got another part of me is just like, well, like the monk said, like, what does it matter? you know? Um, but
No, I mean that's a very relatable place to be because, I feel like I do that a lot. Because there's points in time where within my life where I have been like, hey, there's no reason to even like pick up another book or anything. We should just focus on like meditation and then boom, that's it. Like I'm not even going to worry about like gaining any type of knowledge. Like, you know, if it's something that you have to do like for work or whatever, to make ends meet, yes, I can understand that. But like as far as like philosophical books or like spiritual books or whatever, because I read a lot of those, I was like, man, why even, why even pick up another book? Like, but then if you go check, like, I don't even know how many I'm reading right now. I'm probably reading maybe about 10 right now. Um, and it's like, that's the other side of it is like, but I want to I want to keep looking. I want to keep investigating. I want to keep learning more, even if it didn't really matter. Like, I'm here right now. I might as well do something, So
Yeah, yeah,
it's interesting. It is a weird kind of balancing act.
yeah, yeah. Well, I would tell you this. It's been 2,000 years, maybe. For some folks around the world since the last coming of a significant figure, right? Or maybe it was 2,800. When did Buddha pass away? Was it like 800 years before Christ or something like that, or
Yeah, it was like
something like that?
2,600 years ago,
Okay, so
roughly.
six. Okay, yeah. So, okay, so let's just say Buddha was it. It's been 2,600 years. There could be a time for another one to pop up like right now. I don't know how often do they say they pop up? Is it like but it's like every like 10, 15,000 years or something like that, right?
Yeah, I don't know. It could be.
Anyways, what I was getting at is, you know, the trying to, I think, yeah, once you break free, just like in the Matrix movie, you're trying to like save as many people as you can, you know? Um, and maybe that's, you know, as this war is going on in this world, you're trying to pull people out of it and say, hey, like that's crazy down there. Like you don't have to do all that. It's not even that's just a game down there. You're wasting your existence playing in that. Pull them out and and you pull enough people out to where I don't know necessarily like you say you save the world, but the world just you know starts to fall apart in a good way, um and life is how we know it starts to fade away, and then everybody starts to transition into the real world, and enlightenment starts to overcome, uh or the being as a whole starts to overcome the mind, at least on this world. uh and maybe that's, I don't know, maybe that's the objective. um so getting back to, like, it's been 2,600 years, another thought of, not to say it would be us, but let's just say, just for whatever, it's one of us, right? Just to play with it. And the objective now would to be, okay, I've got the knowledge. How do I now talk to the people now? And how do I save as many as I can before I pass? And I think each one that comes along has that problem of trying to avow what they know and trying to dumb it down to a pretty much a baby that knows
Right.
nothing, and and then trying to save as many as they can. But the problem is, because like even now, like if you knew all the answers, it like I don't think it would go really anywhere, right? Unless you had a way of speaking to the people, right? Like I think if you had Jesus and you brought him all the way now here to right now, and people would, I think most people would just kind of walk right past them. You know what I mean? Or they'd claim he's crazy, or they wouldn't even pay him no mind, right? I mean, I think at that moment in time, Jesus was, he knew how to get across to the people. And now, if somebody were to come along now, that would be the issue. That would be the thing that they would have to try to conquer, of how to say these things to where people would listen, and then start something. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah. Yeah, and I mean it would be a big challenge right now because I feel like a lot of people have, especially with the advent of technology and all that, where it's at today, a lot of people have become a lot more distracted than they probably were. I mean, even 100 years ago, to where, like, how many people can you get to legitimately sit down at a table and have dinner and talk without, somebody pulling their phone out, like,
Yeah.
or something like that, right? And I'll actually do this. If I go somewhere and I have to stand in a line or I have to wait in a waiting room or something like that, I'll purposely test myself to see if I can not pull my phone out and just sit there and like wait. And I'm like, is it possible for me to just face raw existence as it is right now without, distracting my mind or whatever? And when I do that, and I'm not trying to say I'm some, high being or whatever, but when I do that, I'll look around and like you just see all these other people like with their face like dug in their phone, and I'm
Yeah.
like, man, we really have stepped into another era where technology is so much a part of our being now that we we almost have forgotten what it was like before, without it. So to your point, the the next being like that, if they were to come today, they would have to be able to speak to a world that operates like that. And that would be very difficult to do because we're just so hyper distracted nowadays, you know.
Yeah.
But you can't even watch a YouTube video unless it's a short, like it's got to be,
Yeah.
30 seconds or less or else I'm bored, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. You'd have to teach through TikTok, flick it,
Right.
you'd have to have some type of teaching in 30 seconds, and you say part one on it, right? And then flick through like 30 other TikTok videos, and then part two would finally come up. and you'd see that for 30 seconds, and then you know, yeah,
Exactly.
um, it's yeah, that whole thing. But again, through it all, I know again that this right here is real, and it's proven, it's fact. It's not something that we just talk about and just hope that it's gonna make me better. Like there's steps in it, and if you follow through with it, like you can physically do it. It's not something that you just gotta hope that it happens. You can actually
Yeah.
work towards it and do it. Like and but you've got to do it. And you got to again stop looking from without, and start looking within, and that's who's going to do it. Um, and that I mean, man, just getting into to with the child in the coffin to me here right now in the types of trials and tribulations I've been in, to if that entity was in that coffin at that moment in time and started to freak out, that right there would just tell you what fear can do to you. Fear
Mm.
can lead you down a road of insanity, um, and nothing but fiction and fake, and that's what it leads you down to. That's what fear does. That's what the mind does. The mind leads you down a road of insanity. It leads you further and further into this chaotic world, and you got to break out of it. You got to break out of it, and uh, once you do, your chains are broken. You're forever changed. You can always fall back into the world, but there's a part of you now that knows how to get back. If you really want to get back, you can get back. Um, and you're forever changed. Uh, and deep down, you know what you need to do. Deep down, once you get to that point, uh, hey, I'm choosing to feel these emotions now, and you know, if I don't want to feel it anymore, I know exactly what I need to do. Um, but then in that's a struggle too. But try to walk away from everything, or at least most of it. But again, just because on every video I do like to tell people out there, if they're just watching this and they're going through things, that this is very real. There's nothing fake about it, and uh, there's steps to getting better. Obviously, we like, Matt and I, we like, we like to explore and different thoughts and stuff like that. Even though kind of in through the middle of the video, it might be contradicting, because now knowing, well, it is the mind. But again, I would say, again, I, I'm not saying that's the answer and that we shouldn't think about it and shouldn't have these certain questions and ponder on it in a certain state. I know you can find things out that way. Obviously it's an unclouded you're unclouded and you're super hyper focused on one thing. Like, you're going to find a lot out about it, or you're going to get further on it than you would be if you were all cloudy up here. But
Yeah.
it with even with that said, I mean, it's just you become so much more powerful when you're silent. So much more powerful. Like, you were at your most powerful when you're silent. You you don't need to be talking, you don't need to be moving. You're at your most powerful, resonating, just your being, when you're silent. I mean, take it. I would even say this: like you getting into a fight. I've seen it. You know that guy. You know there'd be the guy that's barking. You know, yelling at the top of his lungs and blah blah blah, and that guy right there that's just sitting there, just silent and just still. And you're like, man, that dude that's barking about to get his ass whooped. You know, like this dude is just—he's just there and he's just watching. You know, and there's something in that. I mean, it's very intimidating to another person when they're trying to get a rise out of you, and there is no rise. It's like you're on a different plane from them, you
Yeah,
know, and they can't understand it. Um, and into like before the lion strikes, before the cheetah strike. I mean, it's just silence, silence as they're creeping up. Silence, silence. They're at their most powerfulest when they're at their silence. And then there's the explosion, but they can't have the explosion. They can't get themselves set up to be successful if there wasn't silence before it. You know what I mean? Like find silence and everything will start to make sense after that. You can kind of reboot and know where the root is, and then you can really start to grow.
dude. Yeah, I got nothing more to say to that. I'm gonna be silent. For real though, I mean, no jokes. That's good stuff, man. For real.
Yeah. No, it'd be funny if like you're like, well, I got nothing more to say. Click. Like there's no outro or anything, just
We should have
or we
done
just
that.
yeah, or we just sit and stare at the camera for 10 minutes and then it clicks, you know. Um
That'd be awesome.
yeah, yeah.
Y'all,
But
y'all need to watch till the end. One of these days, we're gonna do
yeah, yeah, yeah. Just totally just what? Um but yeah, man. But
No, I mean
I
that's
mean, yeah, go ahead.
that's it right there. I mean that's kind of like the mic drop, or the cherry on top. Um, eh, there's so much power in that, there really is, and I can feel it, and I know you can feel it too. Like just the way we were talking in the beginning about, hey, how are you doing right now, and like just both of us being able to say we're solid, and I
Yeah,
think that's because of the silence, like that is like the foundation of, the steady being, and like a rock, an immovable rock, you know. Um, so yeah, I got nothing more to say to that, man.
all right, all right.
Just up.
Well, yeah, yeah. I was just gonna say, hey, thank y'all again for watching this video. You We'll try to be back sooner than later, uh, and we'll have more topics. We might be somewhere else. We might be right back here with a boring wall behind me. But you know, we'll see you next time. Again, thank you for watching, and feel free to reach out or comment or anything. Again, if you got questions or you going through something or whatnot, you don't have to post it. We've got the email and stuff like that too. Again, the whole reason why we started it was just trying to reach out to folks that going through some things that they don't understand what's going on. And just trying to let people know that you're not alone, and probably everybody that you're living with, everybody that is going through it. They just don't know they're going through it yet. So you're not alone. Um, but with that said, um, we'll see you next time. And till then, find that silence.
All right. Thank you, man.